Hello, everyone. Happy Monday. We are going to be blasting upper body today. We're going to go scalp to hips while I get this live approved and start getting all oily. I am going to talk a little bit about my detox routine and what that looks like. Hopefully this microphone picks up my voice a little bit easier for you guys, but my detox routine has changed over the years. I started off very simply with a dry brush. That was something inexpensive. It was an easy addition to my routine to do right before the shower. It supports the lymph drainage and our body's natural detox reaction. So that was an excellent, inexpensive starting point. Now, 8.5 years later, my routine is a little more extensive. I have a sauna blanket. I want one of the big, bad, nice saunas, but not quite at that point yet to have that in my home. Soon, though, it is on the list for this year. So I got a sauna blanket, and that gets me nice and hot and sweaty. So I did get one of those, and I use that as part of my detox along with semi-regular fasting, sometimes intermittent, sometimes 24 hours. I always find that's a good one for autophagy and getting some of those bad cells out of the body. So I try to do fasting periodically, and I make sure I supplement well. Lots and lots of electrolytes and hydration. Our fascia loves to be hydrated and wet so it can glide and move. So I put on a different oil on my face, obviously, so my skin doesn't get mad. I'm going to start at the scalp. I have found ever since the Pro Nugget came into existence, this is my scalp blasting tool, right? So I have my hair down right now. I just do short little up and down strokes, covering everywhere from the front to the back. Since we're covering a lot of surface area today, I am going to move relatively quickly, maybe not spend quite as much time as I normally do. My usual blasting routine is divided up. I divide up the body over 5 days, so I spend more time on smaller areas. For this challenge, we're kind of slowing down, focusing on a little bit lighter, a little bit quicker, a little bit more to just support the body's natural rhythms and help everything work out on its own. So I'm just doing a quick little scalp blast with the Pro Nugget. I love this because it doesn't get tangled at all. It's pretty much just like brushing my hair. I have naturally curly hair. I blow dried it yesterday, so that's why it looks a little straight. But this just allows me to do a quick scalp blast. You can keep this in next to the couch when you're gonna be sitting watching TV in the evening. You can do a quick scalp blast. So I'm going to show you. I'm going to come a little closer so I can show you my face. I put oil on my face. We're going to keep this quick. This is my primary face blasting tool, the fine line eraser bunny ear tool. I always start right here between the brows. I work up and around. I talk with my eyebrows a lot. I'm very expressive with my face, so I make it a point to blast on the eyebrow. It is almost always a little tender spot hidden in there from all the workouts that I make my eyebrows do during the day. Under the cheekbone, work it like I'm contouring here. Again, I'm doing just light and quick, just enough to get a little bit of blood flowing. I like to do this. Extra focus by the ear because I am a jaw clencher. So this muscle right in here, is always very tight. And I tend to have little gravelly spots around the bottom of my jaw. So I like to I have one of these in the shower. And when I wash my face, I like to do this in the lather of my face wash. I find that it's a nice, simple way to work a little extra face blasting just into something I'm doing anyway. I do probably 70-80% of my overall blasting in the shower. Just because I have to take a shower, it fits into my day. And the more I put the tools in my way, places there where I'm spending my time anyway, the more likely I am to actually get my blasting done. So I have been blasting for 8.5 years now. So I'm very routine. It's almost mindless when I do it. I tend to follow the same process every time. I also find that I tend to use the same 3 or 4 tools, even though I have all of them, because I am just a creature of habit like that. All right, we got a little blood flow going. Take a little bit of these eye bags away. I did not sleep the greatest last night, so we're gonna help that out. All right, so quick scalp, quick face. Now I'm gonna work from my fingertips up to my traps and do chest, my favorite combo right now. And these two have taken over my life. They have me in a chokehold. I have Pro Blaster and the Pro Nugget. And together, I do like almost my entire body with these two. I find if I don't have time to do a full long blast, I will skip using large claws and go straight into the Pro Nugget and blast with that. But again, I have been blasting a long time. I'm very, very, very used to it and the feel, and I'm very in tune with my body and my fascia. So right now I'm just going over the fingers. I like to work my way from my hands in, kind of following that like lymph process. Like when you're dry brushing, you're moving from fingertips into chest, from toes up towards the heart, helps support the body's natural detox. I've been trying to be really good about getting on my rebounder lately, doing a little bit of bouncing, helps stimulate everything and get it moving out. I play a lot of tennis, so my forearms and my shoulders tend to get pretty tight. So I blast my chest and shoulders and arms 2 or 3 days a week. You'll also notice when I move to the non-tattooed arm that I do get red very quickly. That was not always the case. Years ago, I used to have like big white patches that were almost cold and hardened through all the years of blasting and cupping and fascia work. I'm now able to get red a lot faster. It's just not as easy to see on the decorated arm. And again, we're covering more surface area in less time today. So I am going to be moving quicker. Your body is yours. I am just guiding you and giving you some tips. If you feel something or find something or your body says it needs a little more time somewhere, take it. If you need to move faster and blast for a shorter period of time, do that. So on the chest, my pec muscles tend to get very tight. So I like to hold everything up. I feel like this part of my body is always like weighed down, right? So I tend to give it a little support and scoop upwards, heading towards the collarbone. And then I always try to take one claw, like 2 legs, and get behind there a little bit. There's a few nooks and crannies on the body where adhesions like to hide, and around the collarbone seems to be one of them for me. Also hitting the connection to the shoulder. Along the trap. Now I'm going to go to the other side. Again, starting at the fingers, go around each finger. Fascia is in every little nook and cranny, so you might as well blast all those little nooks and crannies. And since Facebook always likes to change things, I can't see any comments, just so you guys know. So if you're saying anything to me, I'll answer it as soon as we're done. But a little backstory about me, if you're unfamiliar with me, I've shared this a few times in the group. I found Ashley on like a random Google search 8.5 years ago for cellulite. I was drastically overweight, and my logic was if I smooth the fat and don't have like bumps on my legs, I'll feel better and I'll be okay with being drastically overweight, right? That was my logic. But it ended up leading me to a really cool plastic stick that became like the catalyst for my health changes. And it became what started me paying attention to my body and what it was asking for. So I originally started blasting. A few years in, Ashley made a comment on a live feed that fascia hates sugar, that sticky food equals sticky fascia, and that just clicked a light bulb right in my head, and I was like, that makes so much sense. So next thing you know, I cleaned up my diet, got rid of sugar. This was almost 6 years ago now. Lost 85 pounds. And then after that, it was like I had this just itch to move my body. The more I smoothed my fascia and the more I was able to gain access to muscles and get that blood flow and get things firing, my body was like itching to move and function how it's intended, right? We're intended to move and crawl and jump and live mobile lives. So my body was like, yeah, let's do this. Now, a few years later, I do crazy box jumps and functional training and all that good stuff mixed in with lots of yoga, lots of stretching. I've recently developed a cold plunge obsession because I've always loved the cryo packs, and cold after blasting is so good to get that inflammation out and help speed the healing process. Blasting in and of itself is a inflammatory process. Our body wants to rush to heal what we're stimulating and what we find while we're in there. So getting nice and frosty helps that inflammation move out. So instead of wrapping myself in a head to toe like cryo burrito situation like I usually do, I have got a cold plunge and I have to go dunk myself. All right, so we've got good redness going. This spot right here on my shoulder, you can see it's a little patchy, still a little white there. This is one where I'm still pretty bound up, is right at my delts, all of them in there. So I tend to get kind of that flushed, patchy look. But it's only because I'm still working through those adhesions. If you are new to the Pro Nugget, new to blasting, start with tapping before you move to any of the deeper work with it. I like to press and hold, give a little wiggle on my delts where I'm working through those bound up adhesions. If you have a favorite large claw tool, use that right now. But again, we're covering a lot more quicker in this challenge, giving our bodies more time to kind of reset and heal in between our blasts. So I find that I get the most effective changes using the Pro Blaster and the Pro Nugget. For larger areas like my stomach and my back, I'm going to use the Brush and Blast base because I have good range of motion in my shoulders and I am able to blast my own back with just that. Again, getting behind that little clavicle spot right there. You can also like floss your muscles while you're doing this. Kind of flex. I'm moving my hand around. Sometimes I'll press and hold up here and do little rotations and movements. Just moving my body around the tool is the best way I can describe it. But when I find a spot that just feels very stuck, I'll put it in, give it a little wiggle, and then do a little floss with it. Other arm, working the way up. One of the coolest things that I think that what fascinated me the most when I learned about fascia and just kind of understanding how the whole thing worked is how as you're working through blasting your body, you notice things as you go through the layers, you know, like an onion, we're peeling back layers, sometimes decades worth of poor mechanics and poor movement. So you'll notice spots where there's an adhesion or spots where something feels tender and sore, and it's because you fell off a skateboard and had a bad injury when you were a kid, and that is what was the initial cause for the imbalance in your body, and everything just kind of compensated for that injury. And I just think that is one of the most fascinating things when it comes to fascia and the things we notice when we spend more time focusing on our bodies. All right, let's go for the top half. I'm going to oil up my belly and back here. If I'm yelling at you, I'm sorry. I don't know how sensitive this microphone is. And the Brush and Blast base is one of the best for quick blasting. Those 2 rows of small claws, they just do it. I mean, they bring all the good blood flow. And I know it's not part of this challenge, but don't forget, since we are working the whole body, what is hidden by the undies can be blasted too. It's one of the biggest things I picked up and made some of the most change just in pelvic floor health. Fascia is everywhere, okay? Brush and Blast base, I do primarily the diamond technique, which is just diagonals around the belly button, and I just kind of move across and back. You can lean, you can lay down, you can arch back. You have better access to everything, especially if you have loose skin. Like I have loose skin, sometimes it likes to tangle or puddle. Just extra oil, lean back, try to get it as tight as possible. But the tool will glide over if you have enough oil on it. It's gonna wiggle, it's gonna wobble. Sometimes you just have to go with it and just roll with the ripples, okay? I used to stand at the side of my bed and lay back to where my whole top half was like bent backwards on my bed. One, because blasting can be tiring, and two, it was the best way to stretch out so that I could get my stomach and kind of hold that skin still. This spot around my ribs, it is a fascia adhesion deep up under my rib cage in here, and it creates this nice fun little roll. I'm working on it. I'm working on it. Trust me, it's way better than what it was years ago. All right, I'm going to move to my back first to go ahead and get all the small claw done, and then I'll switch to the Pro Nugget. Before I do that, I'll take the Pro Blaster and work down. You know where abs should be? If I had them, I just call it like coloring, like drawing my abs on. I just kind of use the Pro Blaster to go up and down, and then just across where, you know, I would have a six-pack if I had one of those. And it's totally okay to just grab your skin and shove it out of the way. Nobody's going to see you. You can see me. Nobody can see you, so it's okay. Just a little extra around the hip bone there. I played a long tennis match yesterday, and my legs feel every ounce of it. All right. So when I do my back, I like to sit in the frame here for you. I like to collapse almost all the way forward. So I have a little muffin top and it's a little squishy, and I find if I go all the way forward, it gives me a nice flat surface to blast. Again, I have very good range of motion. I've been working on this for years with all of my tools, so I do not need the extenders. If you do, get them out, put them on the handles. It'll give you that extra reach. Bribe your kid, bribe your spouse, whatever it takes if you need help blasting your back. Used to be a chore for one of my kids. I'll just lay there and let her blast my back. And then up and over. We're gonna add a little more oil. It's so hard to oil your own back. You just gotta pour it over there. Use the tool just for a minute to kind of help spread it. Blasting is hard work. It is exhausting. It will wind you. It's totally normal to feel worn out and winded and like you just finished an entire workout. How are we looking? Pretty red. All right. So, Pro Nugget. I'm missing a few discs in the base of my spine, so sometimes I get some tension back there. So I have really enjoyed using this Pro Nugget and kind of breaking through all these just knots, this hardened, crystallized fascia chunks that like to live at the base of my back. But again, I like to lean forward. Easier for me to blast. I think about pushing my love handle like down into my butt, because why not have a bigger butt? So I'd rather go there. So that's usually what I think about when I'm doing this. This one is very, very hard to do on yourself unless you have full range with your shoulders, but it is so worth it. I make my husband do it. Where I can't really get is right in here. So I put on a pouty face and have him blast between my shoulder blades and do the pro nugget for me. Just applying some pressure right now, just kind of poking in. This is a deep work tool, so you want to breathe. When you're pushing in, some spots will be very tender. Just breathe through it, and you'll find the longer you hold and just breathe around it, the more your body kind of relaxes around the tool. Just reaching over, I use my other hand to hold my elbow. This rear delt's always a nice little tender spot. I'm really hoping that one of the next tools is like a giant pro nugget. That'd be amazing. Whew. That one hit something that gave me a little tingle. All right. It's ribcage situation. See, it's like there's an adhesion up in here somewhere on the ribs, and then down under there, and it just kind of pulls it, and then it just creates this little annoying bubble. But I take pro nugget, just kind of lift everything out of the way. See, I did it the other day. There's a little bruise there. Tracing along my rib cage. Lean. If you have rolls, ripples, things like that, just lean. It'll straighten it out a little bit for you. Makes it a little easier. Down. Other side. Now here in just a minute, when I am done, because I could keep blasting forever, but realistically, it's more feasible to plan to do 10, 15, 20 minutes in a day than an hour and a half in a day, right? So even if all you can do is a quick 5-minute blast, it's better than 0. All right. Trace around my hip bone there. I have some older videos in the group, if you search my name in the main page, where you can see longer sessions on smaller areas. Right now, it's all about just getting the routine and the habit built. And just remember, every time you see these videos and these live feeds, we're all just demonstrating techniques, guiding you, encouraging you. Ultimately, your body's going to tell you what it wants as soon as you start to listen. Let me just draw some obliques on there. There we go. All right. We're going to do 3 fascia yoga stretches today, and they're my 3 favorite, and they're exactly what I need after yesterday's long tennis match. But first, I'm going to flush. we're talking a lot about detox and heat and removing toxins out of our body, but our body has its own natural lymphatic system and it's trying to always be draining and moving. So flushing is just, think of it as like applying lotion with a purpose. It's great to do after blasting. You just grab a hold, apply some pressure to your body and just push. We spend this time bringing all this blood flow to the surface. With that, the blood flow brings nutrients, but sometimes it wants to get a little lazy and a little stagnant once we remove the stimulation of the tools. So this is helping get it back on its journey and back where it needs to go. Depending on the lymph chart you see, some recommend circles on the stomach. It's one of those areas. I just kind of move it all around. And same with the back. We're just moving. Something quick that you can do after your blasting session to just kind of help your body do its own natural systems a little bit easier. All right, let's get our Fascia Yoga ball going. When I'm oily like this, I just put a towel over it. Otherwise, it becomes kind of like a slip and slide sometimes. So the one I'm going to start with is for the core and the abs. For every single Fascia Yoga move, one of the biggest things to remember is to keep everything in alignment. Your feet, your knees. Ashley calls it doing railroad tracks. So you just want to take a moment to just make sure everything is lined up where it should be. So you sit on the ball, just kind of make sure you're centered. I'm going to go forward. Turn this. See. I'm at the base of the spine right now. And the best part about this one is you can just lay back. Arms up overhead. Keeping where knees are bent to start with. Because after you just take a minute to regain normalcy, you're going to roll. Going from hips to shoulder blades. And there's almost always one spot that just feels a little bit more than the others. For me right now, that is closer to my upper back. Sometimes it is the mid back, but then when you find it, you're just going to go starfish. Straighten your legs out, straighten your arms out, and then you just drop. And it feels really, really good. Oh yeah, I needed that one. All right. Slide up here. The next one we're going to do is for the pec, which is awesome for my swinging arm. I'm going to try to show you. I don't know if it'd be easier to show you from this side or the other. Either way, your arm is going to go onto the ball. You are going to lay flat on the floor. You want 90-degree angle, your arm coming out of the shoulder socket straight out. You don't have it up or down, you're straight out. You're going to put your other hand kind of by your chest. And you're going to push. You're tilting yourself. You're almost doing like a little twist mixed with like a little baby cobra, but it isolates right in that pec and that connection for the shoulder. And the nice thing with the ball is you can roll out a little bit or in until you find the spot that you need, where you just stop and breathe into it. All right, switch to the other side. Some of these stretches are very, very intense. Try to find a way to, in this angle, you'll be able to see. Let's see. Right arm off to the side of my chest. This arm straight out from the shoulder onto the ball. Twisting and tipping. Yeah, that one needed this. It really, really did. All right, and the third, quite possibly my favorite Fascia Yoga stretch is, I think, supported happy baby, right? So we're going to take this ball. We're going to put it under our legs to start with. Depending on how flexible you are in the spine will determine how far you can raise up and bring the ball up underneath you, but it's going to be supporting your booty. So just kind of up here until you have a nice comfortable spot. You have a nice curve base of your spine. Then you bring your knees down towards your chest. Depending on your flexibility will determine where you can grab. Just kind of hold your knees towards your armpits. And the ball is just bracing the base of the spine just enough that you get this nice curve and put some space in those vertebrae down there. It feels really good. This one I could just melt into probably forever if I had to. And Ashley always says for the super flexible, you can straighten your legs, you can bring it back over your head, you can move your feet, point flex, and just keep bringing it backwards, creating even more space in the spine. But depending what you need, how your body's responding, if you're very, very tight, ease into any Fascia Yoga stretch, breathe through it, try to melt into it. Sometimes you have to try them a few times to get the right feel for it. But I'm about to towel off, go dunk myself in the cold plunge. If you have cryo packs or ice packs, pop it on over a thin shirt or a thin fabric layer. Keep it on about 10 minutes. I take mine right out of the freezer if I'm using the packs. Put it on over a shirt, wrap myself all up like a frosty mummy. But since I have that cold plunge and it's cold outside here in Georgia, my water is about 38 degrees. I'm about to go dunk in it for a minute or two. All right, y'all have a good day. Enjoy your blasting today. If you have any questions, drop them below. I'll go back and check and answer everything. Have a good one.